Gilles Deleuze described the rhizome as a model of thought that resists hierarchical and linear structures, emphasizing multiplicity and interconnectedness. Friedrich Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, proposed the concept of the Übermensch, a figure who creates new values in the absence of traditional morality. Simone de Beauvoir, in The Second Sex, argued that one is not born, but rather becomes, a woman, emphasizing the role of societal structures in shaping gender identity. Jacques Lacan's concept of the mirror stage describes the formation of the I as the child identifies with its reflection, leading to the development of the ego. Michel Foucault, in The Order of Things, examined the historical shifts in the way knowledge is organized, describing these shifts as epistemes. Jean-Paul Sartre described bad faith as the act of deceiving oneself to avoid confronting the freedom and responsibility inherent in human existence. Martin Heidegger, in Being and Time, explored the concept of being toward death, suggesting that an authentic existence acknowledges the inevitability of death. Hannah Arendt described the banality of evil as the phenomenon where ordinary people commit evil acts without malice, often through unthinking obedience. Maurice Merleau-Ponty, in Phenomenology of Perception, argued that perception is the primary mode of access to the world, emphasizing the embodied nature of experience. Karl Marx described commodity fetishism as the process by which social relationships are transformed into relationships between objects, obscuring the labor that produces them. Roland Barthes, in Mythologies, analyzed how everyday objects and cultural practices become myths, conveying ideological messages. Jacques Derrida, in Of Grammatology, argued that writing precedes and shapes speech, challenging the traditional privileging of speech over writing. Pierre Bourdieu described habitus as the deeply ingrained habits, skills, and dispositions that individuals acquire through their social and cultural experiences. Judith Butler, in Gender Trouble, introduced the concept of gender performativity, arguing that gender is not a fixed identity but a series of acts and behaviors. Michel Foucault's concept of biopower refers to the regulation of populations through practices of control over bodies and life, central to modern political power. Friedrich Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence suggests that life, with all its events, could repeat itself infinitely, prompting a revaluation of values. Immanuel Kant, in the Critique of Pure Reason, described the thing in itself as the reality that exists independently of our perceptions, but is ultimately unknowable. Martin Heidegger's concept of Dasein refers to human existence, characterized by its capacity to question its own being and its relationship to the world. Jean Baudrillard, in Simulacra and Simulation, argued that in contemporary society, representations and simulations have replaced reality, creating a hyperreality. Emmanuel Levinas described the face of the other as a call to ethical responsibility, emphasizing the infinite demand placed on the self by the other. Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari's concept of desiring machines suggests that desire is a productive force that drives social and economic systems. Hegel's master-slave dialectic describes the process of self-consciousness formation through the struggle for recognition between two individuals. Alain Badiou's concept of the event describes a radical rupture in the status quo, which creates the possibility for new truths and subjectivities. Michel Foucault's concept of heterotopia refers to spaces that exist outside of regular social and cultural norms, serving as sites of resistance or alternative order. Julia Kristeva's idea of the abject refers to that which disturbs identity and order, often eliciting feelings of horror and disgust. Henri Bergson's concept of elan vital describes the creative and spontaneous force driving the evolution of life beyond mere mechanical processes. Ludwig Wittgenstein, in Philosophical Investigations, argued that the meaning of words is found in their usage within language games, challenging traditional theories of meaning. Frantz Fanon described colonial alienation as the psychological effects of colonialism on the colonized, including the internalization of inferiority. Henri Bergson, in Creative Evolution, explained evolution not as a simple biological process, but as a creative, non-linear process, arguing that life transcends itself. Emmanuel Levinas described the ethics of the other as rooted in encountering the face of the other, arguing that responsibility to the other defines our mode of being. Louis Althusser described interpellation as the process by which individuals are given a specific social identity by ideology, seeing this process as forming individual subjectivity. Hannah Arendt described the banality of evil as the phenomenon where ordinary people commit great evil by obeying immoral orders, emphasizing the importance of moral reflection. Michel Foucault described the archive as a set of rules and practices that determine how knowledge and discourse are constructed in a given era, using this to analyze the history of knowledge. Friedrich Nietzsche, through the declaration God is dead, argued that traditional moral values have collapsed and that new value creation is necessary. Martin Buber described the I-thou relationship as the fundamental human relationship, arguing that this relationship reveals the true meaning of existence. Henri Lefebvre, in The Production of Space, argued that space is not merely a physical location but is constructed through social relations. Michel Foucault, in Discipline and Punish, explained how power in modern society has transformed into a means of controlling people through surveillance and discipline. Ludwig Wittgenstein described language games as the concept that meaning is formed according to the context in which language is used, arguing that the use of language determines meaning. Hannah Arendt, in The Human Condition, distinguished between labor, work, and action, explaining that each activity reveals different aspects of human existence. Slavoj Žižek, in The Sublime Object of Ideology, argued that ideology operates through our unconscious desires, analyzing the structure of ideology. Jean Baudrillard described simulacra as a reality that is different from the original, analyzing how reality and simulation intermingle in modern society. Emmanuel Levinas described the face of the other as a concept symbolizing the absolute uniqueness and ethical demand of the other. Michel Foucault explored the relationship between knowledge and power, analyzing how power controls society through knowledge. Hannah Arendt described political action as the way humans express their freedom in the public realm, seeing it as a core element of democracy. Gilles Deleuze, in The Philosophy of Difference, argued that difference precedes identity, placing difference at the center of new thinking. Ludwig Wittgenstein, in Philosophical Investigations, argued that the use of language is the key to solving philosophical problems, emphasizing the practical aspect of language. Edmund Husserl described intentionality of consciousness as the concept that consciousness is always directed towards an object, arguing that this concept forms the basis of phenomenology. Friedrich Hegel proposed dialectics as a method of explaining the development of history and thought, seeing the resolution of contradictions as giving birth to new truths. Jacques Derrida described deconstruction of the text as a process of exploring contradictions and uncertainties within a text, aiming to dismantle existing interpretations. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that existence precedes essence, meaning that humans first exist and then create their own essence.